Sylvia, roll call.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Council President Robinson.
Here.
Councilor Henderson.
Here.
Councilor King.
Here.
Councilor Kuiper.
Here.
Councilor Harris.
Here.
Councilor Brouse.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion we approve the agenda, or I move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Consent. Resolution 2015-069, authorizing city manager to enter into an on-call contract with Joe Turner for hearing officer services for a period of 3 years. Do I have a motion to approve the consent?
I motion that we approve the consent agenda. I second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, council. Citizen comments, we have 2 RJ Claus.
Mr. Claus, your mic's not on, Mr. Claus.
Your mic's not on. Thanks, Dan.
I'm going to briefly touch on a subject that you're going to get faced more and more with. And this is one of the things that I will say was the benefit and in some ways shocking thing in Sherwood. When I moved here, I was actually in the meeting when they fought over the specific plan. Very distinctly, I remember Hitchcock wanting commercial zoning for his 42 acres, Langer virtually insisting on it. No problem. Jim Rapp, the city manager, Kara Connell, handled it. Then, when they took it to LCDC, Dick Benner headed it. And I went to Benner, and I talked to him, and I said, you know, the specific plan or general plan has some merit. But I said, as some elements of it I look at, I'm shocked at. And he said, why? I said, well, first of all, there's Sherwood Plaza. Now, Sherwood Plaza is a ground lease by the Langer. I said, that's a violation of this whole concept. And I remember distinctly they said, we won't move the post office out of the downtown because that way we're going to be like Carmel. We'd all meet there and get our mail and know each other. First thing gone. And I said, what I'm worried about is I see these political decisions on land use planning, and no specific plan can stand that. Now, you're going to get zoning changes, and that's not your fault. Some of you participated, but not 6 of you. You realize that Home Depot was owned by Art Spada, and it was light industrial. John Bormet, for some unknown reason, when Clarence Langer and Brennecke had optioned it, decided Home Depot is a lumber yard. And he cleared it, and the 120-day period ran. More than that, they got a stoplight. Now, ironically, I found out about it because I was doing some work for the union for Home Depot, and they told me they were coming to Sherwood. I said, baloney. There's no zoning you can come here on. They said, well, we've already got a building permit. I came back and I called Hitchcock, and he said, Jim, you're a born-again troublemaker. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Are you suggesting Art Spada would have sold his ground for $4.25 a foot? Home Depot that pays $10 to $15 a foot are coming to Sherwood? And said, don't bother me. 3 weeks later, he called me and said, I have to apologize. We're going to sue him. We lost in court. That's how Home Depot got out there. By the way, they were going to put a Wendy's on the corner, and the council stopped it. It wasn't zoned right. Now, I've heard statements that the zoning is still the same underlying, but the use has changed. Therefore, they tried to tell Brennecke and Land Use and Development, LCDC, we really have not violated the specific plan. And he said, and you haven't violated Nicknell versus Cambridge either. I said, well, I know they have. The exception changes the zoning. So first we had the Sherwood Plaza. The zoning was changed. Then we had Home Depot. Then we had the park where Target is. And now we have the Walmart complex. Now, is there anything wrong with that? Yeah, there's a lot wrong with it. That's how we got the 15 million from Access Oregon for Meineke. They had to change the traffic pattern where it was supposed to go because they had overloaded it on the other end. Now, if you look, you will see that zoning has been changed in this town by even location of roads. All land use is road driven. You can talk till you're blue in the face, but you don't have a road, you don't develop it. And how you have the road is how you develop it. And all I'm saying is you're gonna have to get a happy task, all of you, of starting to have citizens come in here and say, I want my land use changed. Why? Because their zoning's been taken. Had 2 people I know of that are doing it now. There'll be a third, there'll be others. But what you have to keep in mind,
Your time's up. RJ, could you close it down?
just about what you have to keep in mind
Perfect.
is you're just starting to see that. And the one thing you want to keep in mind, as my good buddy Benner tells me, you're going to face exactions if you're not careful, because some of these roads you put in have devalued and changed the use on that property. And that's exactly what Tigard told Doland they didn't have to pay for. And the last time I heard, I think they paid $2.5 million in legal fees plus the damages. Thank you. I'm sorry, but it's just, I think
Thanks,
it's
RJ.
going to get to be a bigger problem than any of us think.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bring
night.
that to our attention. Shannon Hannah?
Good evening, thank you. My name's Shannon Harrell, 16834 Southwest Stellar Drive, and I'm the new Membership Development Director at the Sherwood Regional Family YMCA. And I'm here tonight because I wanted to introduce myself to the community and offer a 7-day pass for anybody that's interested in the health benefits that the YMCA has to offer through healthy living, social responsibility, and youth development. Right now is a really exciting time at the Y. We just got done with the family triathlon. Thank you, Chrisanna Clark, for being there with her family, and a community barbecue, which was a huge success. We're getting ready to resurface the pool next month, and fall programming starts September 14th. So thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Shannon. All right, any other forms? Sylvia? No. Okay. I'll move on to new business, Resolution 2015-070, supporting the Washington County Cooperative Library Services Local Option Levy, ballot measure 34-235. Did you, council, we're really going to be talking about both of these levies. Did you want to talk about them separately? Or do you want to talk about them together? Any feedback?
Fine talking about them.
All right, then let's go with library, and our library liaison is Councilor Harris. Do you have any input? Well, I can start. The reason that I asked about talking about them together is together I met with the Washington County mayors this week, and we as a mayoral group decided individually and separately to agree to support both of these levies that support our local library, the Washington County library system, cooperative library system, and also our Washington County public safety. Both of these areas are implemental in serving our public. I think that all of the mayors agreed. We all were photographed in support of the library and the public safety levies. As many of you already know, the Washington County Cooperative Library Service helps to support our library as well as multiple other libraries, and we're all intertwined because our library couldn't possibly hold all of the books that all of our citizens want to read or download or listen to audio. And so we're part of a great big system so that we together can offer so many more services than we could alone. And all of Washington County benefits from this, from the large cities of Beaverton to the smaller cities of Sherwood, Forest Grove, and Cornelius. I think that the library is a place where intergenerational people can join together in a learning atmosphere, and so I definitely signed the support as part of the Washington County Mayor Group and personally, and I would recommend to council that we as a council from Sherwood support the levy for the library.
So, are we talking about both?
Well, I'm just talking about the library, but I talked about both because
Okay.
we did support both.
So when it comes to the library, I think it's important to remember that this levy is about a third of the budget for Washington County and the library. If it doesn't pass, we will see an impact here in Sherwood, whether it's reduced library hours, reduced children programs. This is not just extra money to do more programs. It's actually to keep the library functioning as it is now and add material as needed to support the readers that are using it. I support the levy, obviously. So I think both the public safety levy and the library levy are important, and it's just important to remember that this is county-wide, so this is not just Sherwood. Although Sherwood votes, there's over 554,000 people in Washington County, so this is economies of scale. We're paying a very small amount to help keep the library open with these levies, and I just think that it more than benefits my family personally, and I think that especially families with less resources, it's a true blessing for them. So I would encourage everyone, and I'm certainly in support of supporting it.
So although I personally support both of them, or might support both of them, as a paid employee from a local nonprofit, I cannot do a public endorsement. And I do want to throw out a possible question to consider with the recent added privilege tax from PGE and then the conversation that has ensued with the increased water rates and the community reaction to that. Is it wise to come out as a council and publicly endorse two levies? Just throwing out the question, but as a personally, I can't support due to my position.
So I'm going to have to ask you a question. You can't vote, or you can't?
I cannot publicly place my name attached to an endorsement for an issue such as this.
So it sounds like you can't vote, because that would be that your position stops you from being able to support. Is that correct? So I would say that you would probably want to recuse yourself if, as your position, you cannot support.
Josh, what do you think?
I'm afraid that's not really something I can guide you on, because that's not by virtue of your public position, it's by virtue of your private position.
Correct.
So, unfortunately, I can't give you advice on that.
Well, then in the nature of being true to being transparent, then I'll step down and recuse myself from the vote.
I'm done.
Okay. Council President Robinson?
I will say that as it pertains to the library, I think we have a wonderful library here in town. There are benefits that not everybody knows exist there, and one of the most amazing programs the library has is the summer reading program. And the summer reading program provides free events for children and anyone who wants to come for things like Reptile Man, which is a very big favorite, and events like that. So if we are not provided with 1/3 of the funding for the library by the passage of this ballot, then we will have to make cuts, but we might even, lose events like that. We will have to look to our general fund to support the library more than we do now, and it will take away from other things the city wants to do to support its citizens. So I think it's really important to support this. And, you know, it offers free passes for cultural arts events, a very important field in which many citizens can't afford all the tickets to get to this museum and that museum. And so we have a pass that you can check out at the library for an event and return it at the end of the day so the next person the next day could utilize it. So there's just all kinds of wonderful things in our library that we may not realize exist. And so I think it's really important, given the fact that it does provide a third of the funding, that we need all the sources in our general fund for other things that we currently take care of with our budget, and not to add, you know, additional services to the library. I just hate to see anything cut from the library at all.
Councilor Harris, do you have any information about why they are recommending? I mean, I went onto the website and it says how they spend their money, but why they recommended a 30% increase in the levy amount? Because that's what this is, from 17 cents to 22 cents. As opposed to the public safety levy, which is no increase.
Right. I don't know where they came up with their numbers.
I would suspect, Councilor Henderson, that it has to do with the new libraries being built in Washington County. Not in Sherwood, but Aloha, Cornelius, and there was one more, I think.
That's my understanding as well.
Yeah.
It's the growth in the county in terms of population, and there are areas in the county that are underserved
So
by not having.
we in our county pay for this building, right?
Right.
We don't receive WCCLS money to pay off the bond for this building.
We pay
So,
for.
That's correct.
Well, I am completely in support of the levy and realize the consequences of if it doesn't pass. I am somewhat, I mean, we were just 2 weeks ago talking about how a 4% increase affects our citizens. This is a 30% increase, whether they use the library or not. And just want to be conscious of the fact that when we like to compare ourselves to other communities, this is a pretty big increase. I'm actually shocked that public safety is not asking for an increase. And just want to be sure that we're conscious of the fact that if we vote to, and I'd also like to clarify, Mayor, you talked about the Mayor's Association wanting to publish this. Are you intending to use our vote in the voters pamphlet?
I'm not. That would be, as a group, if we voted to approve it, then in order to use the Sherwood City Council, then we would sign Sherwood City Council on the voters pamphlet.
Each person would have to sign their own.
They would have
name
to
and their
sign.
own.
I signed as Chrisanna Clark.
Right. Right. And in order to do that, we'd have to meet the deadline, which is the 18th.
Yeah, it's coming up,
Yeah.
which is
so
why
if we
this
wanted
is
to
on
do
the-
that, we'd have to get it into Washington County,
Mhm.
with obviously
Correct.
Councilor Brouse not voting. You know, that's something that gives support to the levy. But I want to be conscious of the fact that this is a 30% increase.
Yes, which is, the 30% is 5 cents.
Right.
So,
There's a
right,
difference
just to put
between
some
percentage. You're
perspective
talking
in-
about percentages.
It's a
on two
5
different
cent
numbers.
increase from what the homeowners are paying now per
Right.
$1,000.
So
Right,
you know,
17 cents to 22 cents. But this is a fee people pay whether they use the library or not.
Correct.
Water rate is only a fee they pay if they use additional water.
and the dollar
Yes.
amount is dramatically different. So you're talking about apples and oranges.
Right. Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, from 17 cents to 22 cents, when you put it that way, sounds very little. But if you say 30% increase, it sounds very scary. So you have to kind of put that in perspective of what the situation is. We haven't had an increase in the library levy in quite some time. So
Well, it's a 5-year levy every time.
yeah, but
So
we
you
didn't
don't-
increase it the last 5 years. It was just a continuation.
Right.
So
Right.
it's been over 10 years since there's been an increase in the actual amount. And I would, based on the amount of the population in the last 10 years in Washington County has grown exponentially.
So just to, I'm sorry I took this back from you, Counselor, but there is some good information on the back of this about the difference. In 2016, owners of a home with an average assessed value of $255,000, that's not market value, that's assessed value, would pay about $56 in that year, or $14 more than what was paid in 2015. So that's the difference.
$14 a year for the mortgage.
For the average assessed value in Washington County.
Okay.
Yeah, I think our average assessed value is probably $125,000 more than that.
So, just to give you an
Right.
idea in terms of
Yeah,
what
scale.
that 5 cents means
Right.
for the typical.
Since lots of percentages are being sort of thrown around, we want to make sure that we're understanding what amounts we're talking about.
So is there a third party, Councilor Harris, that's coming out with vote yes on the library? They have some yellow signs.
There's a couple of people who are supporting it. Sherwood and Tualatin will go in together on a voters pamphlet piece, and that's where, if the council decides to support it as a council, that's where that would go in the joint communication from Tualatin and Sherwood. If we don't, and me personally, I will support it and sign my name to it, and it would go on there as just me and whoever else. But and then there's other groups that are, Washington County is doing their own, WCCLS is doing their own campaign as well. So there's a couple of different groups. Friends of the Library in each of the libraries in Washington County will be doing their own kind of PR and marketing for that.
So
Yeah,
did
they're
you just
kind-
say you're going to submit something to the voters pamphlet with our name on it?
My name.
But you just said that Tualatin and Sherwood are going in together.
Tualatin Library and Sherwood Library are working together to create their own voters pamphlet.
But libraries can't endorse.
Friends of the Library.
Okay,
So
there you go.
So it's not sub-party.
correct.
Yeah, it's
Right.
not
But
sub-party.
again,
Groups
if-
that support it, the same ones that supported it last year, it's exactly the same program that we're doing that they did 5 years ago. So they've done this before. They've worked together before. They share the fee. Yeah.
The
And
other
so they're
bit of,
asking us as a council if we would do.
So we need to sign an
Right.
endorsement letter and get
if we
that to
decide to
you?
go that way, I have it for you.
Okay.
If we decide to go that direction.
and the other bit of historical information is both of these levies, when they were voted on 5 years ago, the previous city council passed very similar resolutions to support both levies. So there is a historical precedent of previous councils taking such action. And that kind of information normally would be in a staff report that staff would have put together, but because this is an election issue, staff can't do that kind of work, so you don't have the benefit of a staff report that gives you all the history and context. I mean, hopefully you see the value of a staff report now versus just a resolution without much context. But
There
we've
is
got-
some good information on the library website. For example, the current total levy is approximately 5,240,000, and this proposed levy will be 5,772,000. So 30% increase doesn't raise as much money as you think it would.
Well, because it's 30% of a smaller number.
Right.
So
Some amount,
that's why I want to make sure that, we're not, again, comparing apples and oranges. The water rate increase is totally separate because, of course, that rate increase was passed by this city council onto our citizens. This, we are asking for support of the levy that will go in front of our voters. And our voters will decide whether or not they will support the levy. That's the very large difference that we're talking about here. Councilor King, did you have any comments?
I think, no.
Okay. Do we have a motion? I'm sorry, did I not give you a chance? I'm very sorry.
I use the interlibrary services quite a bit, and I love travel videos and just a great illustration of how these libraries work together. I was on a waiting list for a large set of travel videos, and there were 28 people in front of me waiting to get those 100 hours of travel videos, and I waited, and of course the library pulled through. I got that call, watched my videos, brought them back. to the library, and they went back to, I think it was the city of Tualatin's library. So it absolutely works. And another thing that's really interesting is that libraries are really starting to become used much more than for just books and audio. They really are becoming a second living room for many people. You can go and just Google it, and you can find all kinds of things that libraries are doing all over the United States. It's really fascinating to see the metamorphosis of our libraries, and I absolutely support what they're doing and what their plans are to do in the future. So
Thank you, Councilor Kuiper. One of the my favorite programs of the library that I love is the Read to the Dogs. And that is a program for children who are just learning how to read, who are maybe a little nervous, and they don't want to read to mom or brother or sister. And so they bring in these wonderful, guide dogs, and the kids get an opportunity to read to the dogs, and the dogs love it. And the kids, there is a relaxation, and then sort of that beginning love of reading. And I know that I, on long trips with my children, love to get books on tape. I was, it's another, modal to have an opportunity to read when you're super busy and you're shuffling kids to, the soccer game, and so everybody's reading, and because you're reading in your mind. And so you're formulating that story in your mind. So, again, I just think that there are so many wonderful things about our library system that opens up doors to all people of all ages and all economic stratospheres. So I just think that supporting the library is a great thing. And I would like to move that we approve Resolution 2015-070, supporting the Washington County Cooperative Library Services Local Option Levy, ballot measure 34-235.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Council. Resolution 2015-071, supporting the Washington County Public Safety Levy, ballot measure 34-236.
So it may be, Councilor Harris drafted the resolutions, did a good job of both, but potentially Councilor Henderson, as the liaison to the Police Advisory Board, may be a little bit more aware of this levy, at least to start the conversation.
So this levy, of course, is on the same ballot as the library levy. This is just a renewal of the same amount, which is 42 cents. And having gone to a suicide seminar that Councilor Brouse and Joe and I went to, and Councilor Harris, did you go to that too at Pacific University? Yeah, they had talked about, when we split into small groups, what this levy is really going to continue to support are proactive programs that the county, Washington County Sheriff's Office have put in place, having to do with homeless individuals, families, men and women or children who have been abused, parole opportunities, basically keeping people hopefully from winding up in jail or in the system by placing a mental health advocate or a mental health trained individual with an officer out on patrol, teaching them, educating them, so when they have an interaction with somebody who has mental health challenges or is having a mental health crisis, they're more trained, skilled to handle that situation in the future, which of course leaves for less burden upon the jail system. It also helps to continue to pay for special enforcement teams, the work release center at the jail, and helps to subsidize emergency shelters for women and children. And so while this is not an increase, it's basically continuing some of the programs that Washington County has implemented to be proactive to try to keep people, winding up, incarcerated, or, part of the system where they're not getting the help they need. So it's a rate of 42 cents per 1,000. I don't quite understand this. This is from their publication, but a first-year cost for an average assessed value home in Washington County is $107 per year, or about $9 per month. So, and this is, of course, also a 5-year levy. So, anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. We have a public safety brochure similar to the library one, basically what explains everything that I just said. So,
And after drafting the resolution, I learned a lot from that process. And a lot of the things are currently established already. The jails are established. There's parole parameters established. So it's keeping those going. But and to what Councilor Henderson said, they're really focusing a lot on the mental health side of this right now, which is near and dear to my heart, of course, but creating this mental health task force that can go out with the officers when they get calls within a certain parameter of what those calls are for, and ride along and help these people with their issues instead of just putting them in jail. And that's huge. The money saving from not just carting people off to jail and then they go through the system and they have to go through the parole system and all of that. The money savings alone could be amazing if we can get these mental health professionals out on these calls and really dealing with the mental health issues in our community. So for me, that's all of the things are important, but for me, this newer program that they are really trying to focus on is worth every penny. So I absolutely support it, and I think that it is a great asset for our entire community, not just Sherwood, but Washington County. And a pretty cutting edge program too that we're seeing. It's in other areas, but you don't see it very often in these smaller towns yet. They're just starting to, this is becoming a thing, and I think it's great that we're kind of on the forefront of that.
I'm just wondering, Captain Daniel, since you're here, I'm going to put you on the spot. Say, for example, actually, I guess this is a twofold question, not only for the council, but for people who are here, people might watch later. Can you describe sort of our like daily or weekly interactions we have with Washington County Sheriff's Office, and or how we might, what our citizens in the city or maybe just outside the city in unincorporated Washington County, how they would be affected if this levy didn't pass?
Well, I haven't studied the levy probably as well as you have, given the affairs of, I'm really focused here on Sherwood rather than the total of the county. I can tell you that we interact with Washington County and the Sheriff's Office on probably almost a daily basis in one respect or another. As Councilor Harris was talking about, the mental health crisis response team that is available to us, not necessarily 24/7, but is available to us quite a bit. We have used their services and asked them to come to Sherwood to help us out with certain people who are in crisis within our community. And I have been on calls myself where we have called them to respond and to assist us, and are a tremendous asset. I work very closely with Washington County on the mental health as far as it goes with emergency committals and what we do and how we work as a county together to make the system better. And this is truly an integral part of the system. And if it wasn't there, we wouldn't be able to provide the level of services. And it's we together, the level of services that we provide to the citizens of Sherwood, but then also to the citizens of Washington County, that we all collectively do together.
Thank you.
I'm obviously somewhat biased in that department. I think everybody understands that. Of course, everyone knows I work in the other county jail downtown, so I deal with mental health issues every day. And, you know, based on the reports and things that have gone on with Portland Police, it's crucial to have people out there supporting the police officers and deputies in the mental health crisis area. I don't know if anybody watched the Republican debate, but Governor Kasich hit the nail on the head that our jails are becoming the mental institutions. So, and I can speak that for myself because I've been there for 25 years, and when I first started, it was dealing with criminals, and now I'm dealing with mental patients all the time. So it is what it is. So I do support it. So.
Well, and my only comment to add is that I think we had a good presentation from both the sheriff of Washington County and the library director that came out and spoke to us. So I think they did a very good job of answering questions and presenting the ballots as well. So if anyone who is watching wants to look at the tapes, those are available online.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move we adopt Resolution 2015-071, a resolution supporting the Washington County Public Safety Levy ballot measure 34-236.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. Thank you, Council. City Manager?
The only thing I have for the council, and I'm going to hand this off to Tom Pessimir, because the gentleman he's going to introduce works more with Tom than myself. But a little bit of background. We are now in the third year of a joint internship with the city of West Lynn. So we have had a recent graduate programs in all three of those years, where we have the folks work here 20 hours a week and then work in West Lynn 20 hours a week. And the value of that is that person gets 40 hours of work experience for 6 months, but in two different organizations, two different political cultures, two different, West Lynn is a similar community to us, but in some ways very different. So there's been tremendous value. The interns that we've had the benefit of hosting the last 2 years all received jobs very quickly after leaving us. Actually, I think both in Gresham, I think, is where they ended up. And the program has been such a success. This year it got replicated. So now instead of the cities of West Lynn and Sherwood doing it, it's jumped to 8 cities in Washington County. So the gentleman that Tom is going to present is going to spend his first 6 months here in Sherwood and West Lynn, and then his second 6 months he will go work in Wilsonville and Lake Oswego. So he'll have the benefit of a full year, but 4 different jurisdictions, 4 different communities in terms of cultures and the issues they're facing. And then the cities of Beaverton, Hillsborough, Tigard, and Tualatin are also sharing an intern. And the level of the applications, we got applications from across the country. So this has now risen in terms of a very unique program. And we don't get the benefit of a full-time person, but it's also less expensive for us to fund this each year. It's essentially a $6,000 investment for 6 months of 20-hour work week, or 20 hours a week work, sorry. And it's been very good. So Tom's going to introduce him because he's primarily doing economic development. You will be seeing him on September 1st doing a short presentation at a work session to council on the Citizens Academy. I've kind of given him that as my project, and he's worked with Councilor Kuiper. So he's going to be presenting some of his work in a work session in front of the council at your next meeting on September 1st. So I wanted folks to kind of know the history of this program, which has been very successful. So with that, go ahead, Tom.
Sure. Well, actually, I'm going to ask Mark Yeager to stand up. So Mark is here in Oregon. He actually graduated from Indiana University, and I think you hail from Kentucky. Is that right? That's right. So Mark is has now a new favorite state, Oregon. I'm sure, and plans on staying here for a long time. But yeah, we're really I'm really happy to have Mark. Mark's doing a great job for us and for West Lynn. Some of the things that he's been working on for me in economic development is getting our community profile together for Greater Portland, Inc. That's going to be going up on their website here shortly, which will give us some regional exposure. He's also working on all of our featured properties, which will also go on Greater Portland Inc.'s website, as well as the Portland or the Oregon Prospector site, which is sponsored by the state. He's been working on updating our website, including how to start a business in Sherwood. He's working on some initiatives for me, and also really kind of helping to boil down the Tonkin employment area. So I've really had him working on some really internal supporting documents and stuff, but as he moves into the second half of his time here, I'll have him doing some external things and having him be out more in the community and being seen and doing some things that we hope to do in the long run. So Mark's been great. If you want to ask him some questions or anything, I'm sure he can answer them, but it's been nice to have him here.
So,
Mark, why don't you come up and push the button, please? Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to say that Mark's work on the Citizens Academy / Citizens University, or whatever we choose to name it in the future, will be just one more reason why Sherwood maintains its high ranking as number 6, I think, that we have been identified, maybe. Because it is something that I think once we roll this out in January will be great for the community. It's very exciting, and Mark's done a great job. You really have. And it was nice to see that you were looking at a lot of the same sources that I had looked at from the University of North Carolina. We had some great discussions about planning for this Citizens University, where citizens can come and not just learn about the city, but really understand how our city functions in and of itself, but also in the greater metro region and in the state, and that we are not an island, that there's a lot of moving pieces, and I think it's going to be a really great project. So you're doing a great job, Mark. We're really happy to have you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for all your hard work. We really appreciate it. Any other questions from council? All right. Thanks a lot, Mark. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Looking forward to working with you all.
I didn't have anything else for the council unless you have questions for myself or the department directors that are here.
I do not.
I do want to officially, I think this
Well,
is your.
I welcomed
wanna do that?
him. I did the last meeting. I did, but now you sit alone. So so you now have autonomy there. That is your seat, and we are thrilled to have him. Josh is settling into our community and jumping in with both feet. He's been fantastic, and I am positive we made a great selection. So thank you, Josh, for being here. He gives a very calm presence, doesn't he? He does. Yeah, that's what I love about you. Yeah, I think it's great. And Jennifer Kuiper stole my thunder. But yes, Money Magazine reported that the city of Sherwood is ranked number 6 in the nation for the best places to live. So we already knew that. We tried to keep it quiet. Didn't work. Got out. Now everybody knows. So the only other city that was ranked, they do this every 2 years. The only other city that was ranked was West Lynn at number 38. So we're very proud of our ranking, and I have to say, not surprised. But so thank you, Money Magazine. We agree. It's awesome to have that. This Saturday, I wanted to announce the Sherwood football is going to be having their car wash. It is the long anticipated. The great thing about this car wash is the parents do the washing. So you can rest assured that it will be a great wash, and it looks like, once again, not that we ever really risk it, but it'll be great weather. But this is a great event. There are normally 3 locations. They haven't really announced them, but normally they're Archer Glen, and there's normally, I'm trying to remember, over by Coles, and then maybe Edie is where, that's what I remembered from last year. So it might be different ones, but look on the website and they can tell you the 3 locations. It is normally 3 locations. Or just drive around town and go, oh, there it is. I'm sure you'll find it. Highly, highly recommend that. The last we have 2 more Music on the Greens. The last one will be August 28th. And so come down and enjoy our last 2 Music on the Greens as we wind up our summer festival times. It's been fantastic. We have had some wonderful acts. Kristen, marvelous job. Thank you so much. They have not only been fantastic, but they've also been incredibly gracious. And at the last Music on the Green, the guitarist actually came out with his guitar and walked around amongst the crowd. It was pretty it was pretty fun. So really great groups, really a lot of fun. On Saturday the 28th, I'm going to be attending the Chamber Golf Tournament at Meriwether. There are still openings if anyone wants to join. just go on the Sherwood Chamber website and you can sign up as a single, or you can put a group together for a foursome, whatever.
You have to know how to golf.
You do not. Well, you know what? You better not have to, or else I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. So,
You do have to hit the ball.
yeah, you got to hit the ball,
Every
but
time.
As long
pretty.
as the ball goes somewhere, you're good.
If it's, you know, ish.
Hit a ball.
It's
They-
ball.
They
so-
play best ball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, yeah. It's
Play
not-
what?
Best
Best
ball.
ball.
The foursome. So whoever hits the best. But you do have to be. Each person does have to be chosen once on the course. We could talk about it. We could talk about it, but
I
it.
can drive the cart.
Yeah, you can. That's fine. And on August 31st, I know the kids. I can hear the audible sigh. Is the back to school rally for the Sherwood School District? So we're very excited for that, and Heather Cordy is excited. So the 31st we'll have that. So that's all I have this evening. Councilor King?
Not too many announcements, but if you really like the Beatles, if you like Beatles music, that is what's happening. Stella Ellison Park, 6:30. Yep. And it's the Paperback Writer is the name of the group. So I've got a whole bunch of girls that are very excited for this group to come tomorrow night. And then the next group is the Woody Height Band. So also on Friday nights, Friday night is Big Hero 6.
The movies in the park.
The movies in the park. And that starts whenever it gets dark, about 8:30. And then the last movie is Friday the 27th, which is Mary Poppins. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Thank you. Ms. Brouse?
All right. First, would like to just say kudos to Sherwood PD. I had the opportunity to do a ride-along Saturday night with Officer Perry. Had some conversation with Sergeant Shields and Officer Smith, and then Gents and the new Officer Miller. So it was a great experience, lots of learning opportunities, and I can't wait to do it again. So highly encourage those of you who haven't done it, please consider it. It was wonderful.
How long did you ride?
6 hours. It was great.
From when to when?
Oh, wait a minute. It'll be 5 hours. It was 6 to 11. Attended a mixer with Sherwood Main Street, and they are doing a wonderful job. Are you the liaison? Who's the liaison? Sorry. Dan is.
and I also go.
Okay.
too.
So they have got a lot of different projects in the hopper. It's always interesting and informative to hear them speak. I will be attending the school board meeting next Wednesday, and in Councilor Kuiper's place, we'll be attending the breakfast forum with Senator Wyden next Thursday in Hillsborough.
Just a few things. We wrapped up our second week of Jungle Book for Missoula Children's Theater. We had 62 in the show. And yeah, so I think the newness of the center encouraged a lot of people who wanted to come in and be a part of that and experience the center. We have the Police Advisory Board this Thursday night. And want to remind everybody that school is starting and to be mindful of school zones and speeding, and that while Sunset might be an arterial, the school zones, you're supposed to be going 20 miles an hour. And that there's also a school zone in front of the Sherwood Friends Church where the church school is, right in front of the school district office. So just want to put that out there, that start thinking about those flashing signs that you've been ignoring for 10, 11 weeks. Just remember, a lot of new young kids starting kindergarten and not as streetwise as wise as they could be. So, and then I wanted to read, I of course am thrilled to be ranked in Money Magazine. I guess the last time we were 5th. And the quote they used, which I thought was great considering what we have going on and all that we've just talked about, it says, "But what makes tiny Sherwood," I don't know about tiny, "a standout amongst towns is its size, is its robust art scene. In May, the city unveiled," also incorrect, unveiled a 15,000 square foot Sherwood Center for the Arts, which houses a gallery, classes, and performances. The school district, meanwhile, has bucked the national trend of slashing funding for visual and performing arts programs. So I think that highlights the center, our great relationship with the school district, and Christine Mulkey, who who I think also summed it up. There are so many opportunities for people of any age group to get involved. And she was just in our production of Into the Woods. And then I think her daughters were in Rapunzel. Well, they're in Maid Marian, but they were also in Rapunzel. So I don't know how they wound up getting a quote from her. But so, yeah. And like the mayor said, we've tried to keep it quiet. But, you know, this is the result of years and years of work, not just recently. And those years and years of work and commitment and contribution from our staff have made this a really attractive place to live.
And so on that, I wanted to also make sure that everyone knew we have openings on our Cultural Arts Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Please apply. How many do we have, Kristen? We have 3. So come one, come all. Come and apply at the city to be on our Cultural Arts Commission. We've got an art center, for crying out loud. Come on now. Cultural Arts Commission. It's where the things are happening. Okay. Council President Robinson.
Yes.
Includes that as a link.
There is no planning commission meeting next week on our regularly scheduled Tuesday. I did notice, thank you staff for installing the crosswalk on Murdoch. It is working. I also want to compliment and thank the Community Services Department, the Public Works Department, and especially Lance Gilgan, who has done an amazing job scheduling all of the football teams and soccer teams, because they are every single field in Sherwood right now is being used, and it is so great to see everything so filled up. It's just wonderful, and all the kids are just having a blast. So my whole thing has been football, football, football. Sherwood is a football town, from what I'm learning.
Welcome.
And
Welcome.
Already know that.
In addition to the car wash tickets, which you can purchase from any family in football, those are $5 for this Saturday's event. But you are also encouraged, if you want to try and win a vacation to Disneyland, those tickets are $10 a piece, and we can only sell 20 each. So they ran out last year of available tickets. So it's for a trip to Disneyland or any other location. I think it's probably $3,500 for your round trip, hotel and travel costs. So you can really go anywhere you want that takes you that far. But anyway, I don't have those tickets. They will be made available to us once we get our teams established, which is not going to be until Wednesday, I understand. So
Depending on your age group, they'll all be done by Friday.
okay. So there you go.
Thank you. Councilor Harris?
I have my big list of things to talk about that almost every counselor has already covered. So, the library meeting is tomorrow, so I'll have an update for that next time. Due to lack of quorum, we did not get to meet for the Cultural Arts Commission meeting yesterday, which brings up the vacancies, which the mayor has already covered, so I'll move on. The Old Town Sherwood Art Walk is coming up September 17th, which is a pretty cool thing that we're doing downtown. The Sherwood Main Street is helping with that as well, and it's going to start at the Center for the Arts. There'll be wine tasting, live music, artist demonstrations. There will be maps that will guide the citizens and anybody who comes to enjoy that to different participants. Right now we have the Historical Society, 503 Uncorked, Demimo's, Blue Plume Gallery, Painted Plate, Creative Sister, and we're hoping to get a few more people on board and downtown locations on board with that art walk. And we hope to make this a continued event that we do more than just this one time. So I encourage everybody on September 17th to come walk around Sherwood. The gallery opening, History in the Making, is October 2nd. It's going to be a great party. We hope that everyone will attend. That's the gallery on the outside of the Arts Center for the Arts, where all the art is hung, and you can see all the different artists that will be participating in the theme of History in the Making. The gala event for the center will be moved to the spring of 2016. We're going to sort of do that as a one-year celebration for the anniversary of the center. It gives us a longer opportunity to sort of see where our needs are based on how the center is being used. It gives us some historical data so that we know what are the most important things to do and where our funding needs most needed. I'm trying to say that. But to better understand the requirements for the center. The Missoula Children's Theater that Councilor Henderson talked about, 62 kids, but in addition to that, we had 350 people, around 350 people that attended just to watch the shows, which is pretty amazing if you count 62 kids. There was more than likely more than just parents there, which I think is great. You expect parents, but to have additional members of the community there that maybe didn't have kids involved in it or came because they heard about it, it is a real testament to how great that Missoula Children's Program is. Movies in the Park, you heard, was Big Hero 6, and we covered the music in the park and the movies in the park. So I'm finished.
Thank you.
Oh, I was going to say, our number 6 was based on a large majority because of our arts and the way that we've handled our arts here in Sherwood. And so I just wanted to commend our staff and prior council for putting an emphasis on arts in Sherwood. I think that that has made a real difference. And if we continue to be on these lists, people are happy about these lists, but it brings more people to Sherwood. So if we're going to continue to tout these lists, we're going to need somewhere for them to live. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Councilor King?
One comment I wanted to make that no one has mentioned. Thank goodness. I just wanted to thank all the first responders to the fire. You know, the Sherwood Police Department, I don't know who is all involved in that, but they know who they are, and personally I like to thank them and for the job, great job they did. So, and anyway, I know everybody in the community feels the same way, but I just feel that someone should say something here in the public forum and personally thank them for the job that they did. So that's my 2 cents.
All right. Thank you very much. I believe that we can take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned to our work session.